Hello again and welcome to our video. In this video I'm going to look at revision control. What I'm about to show you works exactly the same way on routings if we've enabled revision control. So the revision field on a routing works exactly the same way as it does on a bill of material. Now, it's important to note that revision control must be enabled, and that's done under the products module, and it's not available in all releases of Xtuple, but certainly it is in the manufacturing edition of Xtuple. So we're actually going to do this for the bill of material. So if I go back to my bill of material list, and if I, whoa, that was a breeder bill of material, pardon me. If I go back to my bill of material, I am having a heck of a time navigating on this one. I'll get there eventually. Bill of material lists, and then open up our little yellow truck. So we've enabled revision control, but we haven't defined any revisions for the bill of material for Y Truck 1. What I'm going to do is just simply type in Rev A and tab out of this field. When I do so, it says that revision does not exist. Would you like to create a new one from, and this is important, it's going to create it from the current active revision, not the revision that you're currently displaying. You could actually be displaying an inactive revision or a pending revision, but regardless, if you put in a new revision code in that field, it's going to derive that new revision, which in this case will be the active revision because it's the only revision that we have out there now, but it will derive it from the current active revision. So suppose that I then create revision 2 and tab through that. Revision does not exist. Would you like to create it from the current active revision? Well, that happens to be revision 1. So sure, I'll do that. Now, that does not deactivate revision 1. If I go back to my list of revisions, revision 1 is the active revision, and the revision that I just created is the pending revision. Let's create one additional revision, and that is revision 3. And that will, again, regardless of what I'm currently looking at, be derived from the current active revision. So now I've got 3 revisions. Active is Rev 1, pending is Rev 2. I have another pending revision for Rev 3. What I'm going to do is display revision 2, okay, and it's pending. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the magnifying glass and I'm going to activate it. Now by doing that, that's going to deactivate the current active revision. And it actually tells me that that's what it's going to do. So now if I look at my list, I actually have an inactive revision, revision 1, an active revision, which is revision 2, and a pending revision, which is revision 3. We may only have one active revision at a time, but it's likely that you'll have quite a few inactive revisions as you build up history, and you may have one or more pending revisions. Now, there is one other nuance to this, and that is if we go back to the setup for the products module, you'll notice that there's a checkbox that is unchecked in this case, but that says change bill of material routing active revision to substitute when activating a pending revision. If that were checked, then what it would have done is rather than deactivating the current active revision, it would have turned it into a substitute. The advantage to that is that it gives you the ability to use that substitute revision as, say, an alternate bill of material, or in the case of routings, an alternate routing. Now, it's also important to note that if I go to manufacturer, and let's say that I list my open work orders, and then I click new, and if I create a work order for Y Truck 1, notice that when I do so, I actually see the revision that it's deriving the bill of materials from, which is the current active revision. So if I create a work order for 100 little yellow trucks, and give it a due date of, say, +7 days, and click Save, I now have a manually created work order for Y Truck 1, and the revision that was derived from was revision number 2. Now, interestingly enough, if I implode this, I actually then have the ability to edit this and slide over to revision, get a list of other revisions, and it's actually possible to create a work order from an inactive revision. Now, why might you want to do this? In some industries where revision control is important, customers become keenly aware of the revisions that they're buying. And they may have designed in a specific revision. So they may actually come back to you and say, look, 2 years ago we purchased the following item and it was at revision 1A.B. We'd like to order another 1,000 of those from you. What I just showed you, where you can create a work order, implode it, and then select an inactive revision or a substitute revision, is very powerful because it enables you to satisfy that customer requirement. All right, once again, thanks for joining us for this video.